This fan fiction is work of fiction and not related to any real-life events or individual, including idols and a resemblance to actual person. Believing that our actual event is purely coincidental. Please respect the originality and effort put into the story. Unauthorized copying, reproduction. Kim once sat across from Mr. Choi in her office, executing dominance and confidence. She fixed him with a piercing gaze, her eye contact filled with unspoken challenge. Mr. Choi couldn't help but feel a pang of nervousness. Kim Bayan, do you remember Mr. Choi when you questioned how a female CEO could succeed? She asked calmly, her voice carrying an undercurrent of authority. Well, it seems my company's success speaks for itself now. Mr. Choi shifted uncomfortably in his seat, feeling the weight of Kim Bayan's word. His nervousness betrayed him as he fumbled for a response. Mr. Choi, I didn't mean to underestimate you, Mrs. Kim. Your achievements are truly impressive. Once lip curved into a knowing smile, her confidence unshaken by Mr. Choi's attempt to backtrack. One, of course you didn't mean to, Mr. Choi, but sometimes underestimating others can lead to unexpected outcomes. The air in the room crackled with tension as Kimber maintained her unwavering gaze, leaving Mr. Choi to contemplate the power of a woman who refused to be underestimated. Mr. Choi cleared his throat, trying to regain some semblance of composure. Mr. Choi, indeed, Miss Kim, your success is a testament to your exceptional leadership abilities. Wan leaned back in her chair, her posture radiating poise of control. Wan, thank you, Mr. Choi. Now let's discuss a potential collaboration between our companies. As they delved into business discussion, Wan maintained her authoritative presence, subtly reminding Mr. Choi of the strength and determination that had propelled her to go top of her industry. Mr. Choi couldn't help but marvel at the woman sitting across from him, realizing that he was in the presence of true powerhouse CEO who commanded respect not just through words but as Wine and Mr. Choi delved deeper into the collaboration talks, the door came Wine's office swung open, and a young executive entered, looking slightly frustrated. Kim Wine gaze shifted effortlessly to Mr. Choi to the newcomer. The expression, when Sarah right on time, I have a project I need to take charge of immediately. Sarah nodded, her demeanor shifted to one of attentiveness as she prepared to receive Van's instruction. Sarah, of course, Mrs. Kim, I'm ready to take anything you need. Van leaned forward, her tone firm yet composed as she outlined the tasks at her hand, her authoritative cutting through. One, I need to finalize the details of the new marketing campaign and ensure it aligns with our strategic goals. Additionally, I want to oversee the implementation of latest technological upgrades in our production. Sarah scribbled notes, obviously fully aware of the weight of an expectation resting on her shoulder. Sarah, consider it done. With a nod of approval, Van turned her attention back to Mr. Choi, seamlessly transitioning back to the discussion. Wine dominance palpable in every gesture and word spoken, the meeting progressed, it became increasingly evident. As a boardroom filled with some of the most influential businessmen in the industry, Kim Deng exuded an aura of unwavering confidence. Every eye in the room turned to her as she entered, her presence commanding. Without uttering a single word, among the attendees sat Kim Deng, known for his tenacity and refusal to back down from any deal. As the meeting commenced, discussions centered around a lucrative project involving collaboration with the government. Mrs. Kim listened intently, her mind already formulating strategies to ensure the success of the venture. When the opportunity arose for all eyes turned to Mrs. Kim and Kim Deng, knowing for their combined forces would be unstoppable. Kim Deng's gaze made once, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. As the meeting progressed, Kim Wan found herself looking horns with Kim Deng, a CEO known for unyielding dominance and power in the business world. Deng's presence in the room was palpable, his confidence matching Wan's stride for stride. One, gentlemen, it seems we have a unique opportunity before us. While Mr. Deng and I may have initially planned to take on this project independently, it's evident that our collaboration will only strengthen our position. Her voice carried a tone of unwavering authority, leaving no room for debate. Kim Deng nodded in agreement, recognizing Wan's outness and respecting her as an equal. Kim Deng, Mrs. Kim, while collaboration may seem like a valuable option, it's not forget the strength of our individual enterprise. My company has a track record for unparalleled success. I'm confident in our ability. His voice resonated with authority, challenging Kim Wan's proposition with unwavering conviction. Wan made his gaze had on her own determination unskippable. One, Mr. Deng, I respect your confidence in your company's capabilities. However, the potential benefit of a collaboration are undeniable. Together, we can leverage our strengths to achieve even greater heights of success. The tension in the room crackled as the two titans of industry faced off, each refusing guilt and each, despite their difference, a mutual respect simmered beneath the surface, born out of shared understanding of. Sensing the stalemate, the other businessmen looked on in anticipation, recognition that they were witnessing a clash of titans. Kim Deng, indeed Mrs. Kim, together we can ensure success of this venture and leave a lasting impact. The room fell silent as the other businessmen absorbed the gravity of the moment, realizing that they were witnessing the mergers of. As the meeting progressed, Wan and Kim Deng seamlessly coordinate their plans, their dominance and power evident in every decision made. By the end, after the meeting ended, everyone shook their hands and headed toward the door. Deng gave a small smile to everyone who was looking at him because Deng wasn't getting up from his seat with while everyone else get up and congratulations, Mr. Kim. I was really impressed by everything in your meeting. You are my ideal, sir. Lee Joshua is a new in his dad's company and he considered Deng his ideal. Lee Joshua, sir, why are you still sitting here? Everyone else has left. Deng looked at Wan, who was still sitting in front of him and smirking. Deng poked his cheek as if she was doing something under the table, but still Deng, actually this boardroom belongs to my office. Miss Wan is still here, so I need to discuss a project with her. Lee Joshua, Mr. Kim, I'm sorry if I'm taking your time. I will leave now. He smiled and headed towards the door, bowing happily to Deng. Deng, Mrs. Kim, care to explain to me? He turned his dark glare towards Wan, who sat in front of him and nervously smiled. Wan, I already explained everything to you, Mr. Kim. Think about when about the project, when tried to regain her confidence in front of her man. Think, really, when do you want me to show how I feel now? He poked his cheek and asked. When, what are you saying about Tang? Tang, act cool, Mrs. Kim, act cool, but don't forget I will delete the camera footage. Tang smiled during the meeting when others were explaining their ideas. Wan was sitting in front of Tang and extended her leg forward and was Tang didn't seem to show any. On his face as he kept it calm, but after the meeting ended, everyone started leaving. Tang couldn't stand up because he didn't want anyone to notice his, so he remained seated in his chair. Wan, do you want me to help you? Wan smiled and stood up from her seat. The sound of her heels echoed in the silent room as she walked over Tang and leaned over his chair. Tang, you become a bad girl day by day. Tang chuckled and grabbed her before pulling her closer. Their lips were almost touching. Just then there was a knock on the door and Tang let go of Wan's arm. Tang, come in. Wan and Tang's secretary's both entered the room. Julie is Wan's secretary and Ariam is Tang's secretary. It's true that Wan hates Ariam because Ariam is very clingy to Tang and her attire is often. She never buttons her collar as her skirts are tighter and shorter than necessary. Wan rolled her eyes. Tang, Ariam, you go and mail the project details to Wan's manager. She nodded and left. Tang didn't say anything further and went straight to the washroom. Wan helped and left as well. In the outer spoke, Wan and Tang are married. Both Wan and Tang were expected to become CEOs of their respective fathers' companies. As soon as possible, their parents knew that they were both workaholic and if given the responsibilities, they wouldn't think about anything else in their life. Wan and Tang didn't want to get married yet, but they were forced into this marriage. Conditionally, they had to marry each other under the condition that if they refused, they wouldn't become CEOs. Therefore, Wan and Tang had to forcefully enter into this marriage due to the influence of their parents. Wan and Tang's dad are childhood best friends and business partners. Before getting married, Tang had two girlfriends. One cheated on him while other was a gold digger. One was in a relationship with someone before their marriage. Despite Tang's past relationships, they found themselves bound together in their forced marriage. Navigating the complexities of their new relationship amidst their demanding professional lives. When, what the heck all this? One checked the papers and angrily asked Mr. Choi. Mr. Choi, what are you saying, Miss Wan? He grits his teeth. When all the deals paper are fake, are you trying to fool me, Mr. Choi? Mr. Choi, test paper are fake? How is that possible? He tries to lie again. When Mr. Choi, if you don't want to get arrested for trying to defraud my company, get out of here. One throws all the paper in his face. At Tang's company, man, yes sir. Mrs. Kim's manager is her ex-boyfriend. Tang wanted to know about her ex. Before the marriage, you were in a relationship with someone, and now Tang wanted to know about it. So he asked his man to find out the details. Tang, Jackson Wang. He read the name on the profile. Man, yes sir, and he has been working at Mrs. Kim's father's company for 5 years. His man said, and Tang also read it on his profile. Jealousy and anger started to become visible on Tang's face. Your ex-boyfriend is your manager, the one you always talk about. You go on a business trip with him and keep him with you everywhere. Tang now started to regret falling in love with you, thinking you have been cheating on him. It still didn't seem real to Tang. Ariam, sir, may I come in? A knock echoes through the room and Tang grants a permission to enter. Ariam, sir, Mrs. Kim and her manager are here to discuss the project. Tang mention of manager's presence only fuels Tang's anger further. Tang, alright, let's go. Tang rises up from his chair, walking alongside Ariam. Ariam, excuse me, sir. I have a question. As they walk, Ariam casually speaks, catching Tang's attention. Ariam, Mr. Kim, does your wife, I mean Mrs. Kim, seem usually close to her manager? She asks with hesitation, a mix of jealousy and concern evident. Tang feels a sharp pang of both emotion as he turns his head slightly to look at her. Tang, mind your own business, Miss Ariam. He snapped, striding forcefully toward where you and your manager were seated. The moment Tang entered, Yuan Jackson rose your feet out of the respect. Tang shot a withering glare at Jackson, struggling to keep his simmering emotion in check. Tang, Ariam handed him the file. His voice was firm and authoritative. When your eyes met his, you could feel an undercurrent of complex emotion in his gaze that made your heart skip a bit. Ariam, here you go, Mrs. Kim. She handed you the files and you passed one to Jackson. You both sat very close, something Tang noticed with growing irritation. As you and Jackson leaned in to read the same file, your hands briefly touched a detail that did not escape Tang's notice, causing his face to clench in anger. When everything looks good, Tang, how about we discuss our next step over at lunch? Tang nodded, trying to maintain his composure. We all stood up from our seats. One kept talking with Jackson, her legs right in front of her. She laughed with him. What business could possibly be so entertaining that it made her laugh like this? As we exited the room, one Ariam went through the door first. Jackson was behind me, struggling to pick up some files he had dropped. The glass door needed to be pulled to open. Instead of holding it open for him, I deliberately let it go before pulling it. Just as Jackson reached it, the door slammed into his palm, making him hiss in pain. He hissed in pain, sound that brought a smack on my lips. When Jackson, are you alright? She turned toward him, her face full of concern. Ariam, oh no, his hand is injured. Jackson's hand was indeed hurt, and it strangely pleased me. Wine, are you okay, Jackson? Ariam, wait, I will get first aid kit. She rushed off to fetch it. I took a deep breath and sat down in a nearby chair, watching Wine hover over Jackson. Ariam, here. Wine took the kit and gently held Jackson's hand. My anger surged as I watched her start to bandage his hand, every touch indicating my jealousy. Ariam, I sat on one side of the table while Wine and Jackson occupied the other seats opposite us. Wine kept fussing over Jackson, asking him if he was okay. It was starting to grate on my nerves. Is she trying initially to provoke? A while later, the waiter brought our food. My eyes widened and Wine asked Jackson if he could manage to eat, but he mentioned his hand injured. Wine, come on, Jackson, if you don't eat, how will you heal? Let me help you. She began feeding him right in front of her. I have never been more furious in my life. I took a sip of water, then forcefully placed a glass back on the table, causing Ariam to flinch and drawing attention of Wine and Jackson. But did I care? Tang, Wine, I need to talk to you, I said sternly, unable to control my emotion. She looked confused. Wine, yes, stay. Before she could finish, I grabbed both of her shoulders and pinned her against a wall, her eyes looking intensely. Tang, is he your ex? Wine, my deep voice sent shiver down her spine. Wine, are you talking about Jack? Tang, so he is. I tightened my grip on her shoulder. Tang, don't worry, Wine, I figured it out. You don't need to cheat. And behind my back, he said bitterly, a chuckle escaping him as Vine furrowed her eyebrows in confusion. Vine, what the hell are you saying? Then hell, Vine again, don't try to play the innocent angel, he yelled in her face, causing her to flinch. No one in her life had ever behaved like this. She could see his face was full of emotion, jealousy, and anger. Why are you jealous? Vine asked, looking into his eyes. Then, damn it, Vine, if I were jealous, that would mean I didn't give a about your life, about your spending time with, who you are going on a day and night business trip, who you are on me with. Vine, shut up then, just shut up, she interrupted, yanking her hand away. Tears formed in Vine's eyes. Vine, are you daring to doubt about my loyalty? What about you and your PA? When I saw you shirtless with her alone in your office, when I saw you hugging her, when I saw you sitting on your lap, what about that? I yelled at his face. Dang, that was all an accident. I didn't even see her for more than 10 seconds. But you still have feeling for him, right? Go to him. I don't want to see your face. You are cheater, and yeah, I don't want to do any collab on project with you. You better stay away from me, he said coldly, then left. One remained in her position, tears uncomfortably flowing from her face. Now she couldn't pretend to be strong. She went to the washroom and cried even more. Thanks, Boo. How could she do this to me? Is she cheating on me with someone? I abruptly opened my office door. Frustrated, I have said things in anger that I didn't mean. I hold onto my hair and rest my head on the table. I hear the door opening, but I don't want to face anyone because tears are welling up in my eyes. Aryam, Mr. Kumar Yogesh, she asks concerned. I don't say anything. I don't want to hear her my sobbing. Aryam, Mr. Kim. Then get out of here, Miss Aryam, before I decided to fire you. I see my head still buried at the table. She looks at me confusingly, but I didn't lift my head. She nods and leaves. 5 hours later, then it's been way too late. I slept for so long. Sobbing, it seems like everyone has left the office and it's just me and the guard in this building. I grab my bag and leave the office building. While driving on the road, I see the snake shop again, the same one where I bought a snake a month ago. 1 month ago, Thank Vine, I call out, holding my baby. Thank Vine, where are you? Vine, yeah, what happened? Why are you shouting? I tried to hide behind my back. Thank, I want to adopt a pet. Vine, pet, I nod smiling. Thank, yeah, his name is William Shakespeare. I looked confused and I showed her my Vine, snake. She hid behind a sofa. Vine, don't be scared. He won't do anything. He's my baby. I bring her speaker close to Vine, but she just Vine. Then I keep it from me. Then don't worry. He won't do anything. Vine, shut up, man. You need therapy. Who keep a snake, especially a python? Then how did you know it's a python? Vine, Tang, she yelled. Vine, if you keep it in the house, I will leave. I'm serious. She treats and I sigh. Tang, maybe your mom doesn't want you. I'm sorry. You know I love you, but she is more important to me. I pout and say to my pet. Flashback end. As I look at William's figure, memories of Vine and me flood back. Few minutes later, as I near my house, I encounter some stray dogs. I wish I could bring them home too, but Vine is allergic to dogs. I gently pet some of the dog heads before finally arriving home. The light Lights are off in the house. Hasn't Wine come home yet? She usually arrives before me. I head to my room and freshen up, wondering where she could be. Some minutes later, I was about to leave my room to go to the kitchen to make dinner when I realized that Van hadn't returned home yet. I quickly went to her bedroom to check. Van wasn't in her room either. The eyes fell on a paper on a nightstand. I picked up the paper and read it. Van, I'm at my parents' house. Don't call me or come here to bother me. Van. I read the paper and sighed. This all happened because of me. I recall what I said to her, that I didn't want to see her. I don't know she would leave home. Leave home, I ran to her closest and smile appeared on my face. All of one's clothes were still here. Then I remembered our wedding day, but mine didn't. Bring any belongings with her, but now her closet is full. What if she doesn't need any of these things right now? My smile faded. I looked at her bed. Her fragrance is emanating from it. Without a second thought, I rolled onto her bed and hugging her pillow tightly. Tonight I want to sleep on her bed. Then I wish it was you instead of this pillow. At Van's house, Van spoke. I thought he knew that I loved only him, but still he hurt my heart. I wiped my tears after leaving the restaurant. I went straight home to write a letter to Tang and then come here. If he doesn't want to see me, fine. I grabbed a shirt that I had taken from my closet. On the day we got married, I didn't take any luggage with me, so Tang gave me one of his plain white shirt. He probably forgot about his shirt while I kept it. Today I didn't break anything from there except Tang's shirt. I hugged his shirt and fall asleep. Why? I wish it were you instead of this shirt. Next day, Aryan, yes, Mr. Kim. Mrs. Kim had declined to take on this project. We received her notice today. Then, was that true? Aryan, yes, Mr. Kim, and now we can't proceed with it either. Then, okay, you can go now. She left. At night, Wine was leaving her office. She was very late, and there was no one on the road. She was heading to the parking lot to get her car when someone approached her from behind with clothes and she lost. After some time, when Van regained consciousness, she found herself tied to a chair with a cloth over her mouth. She looked around and saw no one nearby except for two men in a black attire standing far away. Van tried to free her hand but couldn't. Suddenly she had an idea. She managed to drop her phone from her pocket and using her leg, she bowed it in front of her. Without thinking much, she used her toes to turn on the phone and called them. As soon as Van made the call, Tang answered immediately. Tang Wan, his voice was shaking like he had been waiting for this call for centuries. But he asked again when he didn't hear Van's voice. Van couldn't say anything. She put the phone on speaker so she could hear Tang's voice. Van widened her eyes and ended the call. Then she video called Tang again and Tang picked up. Van pulled the phone from her leg and leaned her head forward. Van winced. Tang's eyes widened, seeing her. Van was stuck in her chair and her face was visible from the top, meaning the phone was below. Van, don't panic, I won't let anything happen to you. He yelled from the other side, but Van cut the call and she broke the front side of the phone with her heel to avoid any suspicion. Mr. Joy, so Mrs. Kim, what's next for you? Not just yours, but your husband Pete as well. He smiled and removed the cloth from Van's mouth. Van, don't you dare to touch him, or I will. And Pete tapped my husband's stray dog. He hissed in pain as her sharp heel straight onto his toes. He didn't move his leg. Mr. Choi, you, he grabbed Wan's head, forcing her face to look at him. Mr. Choi, I have planned for you and your husband to spend your whole life in a jail. Mr. Choi, call him, he orders his man. Meanwhile, Tang is currently in a car with his team who were tracking Wan's phone. Just then, Tang received another call and both phones showed the same location. Tang quickly connected his phone to the office agents because he had already informed the police when they watched CCTV footage from Wan's parking lot. At Wan's location, Mr. Choi, calm down, your wife is with me. If you want to save her, you will have to frame both yourself and Wan for false embezzlement and then spend your whole life in a jail. Tang, where are you right now? Tang pretends not to know. Mr. Choi, you will find out soon. First, you have to do what I say, or I will put all the bullets in her. He points his at Wan's forehead. Tang, dare to touch her and I will burn your whole world down. Tang said dangerously. Then there is a sound of a car rapidly approaching the building. It's Tang's car. Wan once again forcefully strikes Mr. Choi's knee with her leg, causing the fall from his hand as he tries to pick up the sometime later. After calming Wan down, Tang dropped her off at her parents' house because Wan was still pretending to be angry with them. When Tang reached home, he called Wan. You should sleep now, it's very late. Tang, okay, I will sleep. By the way, I heard you saying. Wan, of course. Then you deserve something special. Wan, do you want to give me any kind of surprise? Wan asks excitedly.